All this week, I'm going to be talking to Joe Savitch. He is a member of our Facebook group, and he just recently got approved through the SBA for a loan for his business. So we're going to be talking about the details of what he did to be able to get himself approved for an SBA loan. Welcome to the 10-Minute Food Truck Training Podcast. My name is Bill Moore. I am a food truck business coach, author of 5 food truck vending books, including Food Truck 101 and Food Truck 201. This podcast is all about helping you start and grow your food truck business. Marketing. We all know the word, but what does it really mean to market for your food truck business? Table Needs has you covered. Their step-by-step food truck marketing guide teaches exactly what you need to do to reach more people and to get more hungry guests ordering from your food truck. Click the link in the description below to get your copy today.
My name is Joe Savitch. I'm starting up a food truck called Creative Cones. We're based in southern New Hampshire, serving snow cones, sweet and savory waffle cones, and handheld street crepes. I originally, when I started into my food truck journey, was thinking about a franchise. And after several conversations, including one that we had a while back about the food truck industry, I realized that a franchise was not really the direction I wanted to take my vision. It was too restrictive, and it still felt like I'd be working for somebody else. And so I took, I think that's a comment that you actually quote that you had made for me. So after talking with you and several other advisors, I got involved with the SCORE program and got a mentor as well as a lawyer and a tax business consultant, and had many conversations about what it is I wanted to do with this sort of second act of my career, leaving my 9-to-5er and sort of being my own boss again. My wife and I came up with this concept. Sort of we latched onto the snow cones, and then we realized that we could build a concept around the cone and have that the vessel be sort of the unique aspect of it. Through my interactions with SCORE, I started getting all their newsletters, all their wonderful materials, and found a financial workshop that was happening locally. I went to that. And there was a vendor cavalcade where lots of banks were just sort of set up and would chat with you and say hi and give you some information. I met a number of wonderful bankers, contacted all of them, and only one replied, which I've come to realize is sort of the nature of things. You reach out to 3 or 4 people and you might get one answer. So make sure you can find at least 3 or 4 people. So far, all the people that have responded back have been great people. And I've been really happy with those experiences. So I got involved with NBT Bank, a local banker who I originally pitched the original franchise idea to, and she made a comment about, wow, you have to sell like 10,000 snow cones a month to make up that loan. And I was like, that's a lot of snow cones. I might want to do more than just snow cones. And so again, through all these little nuggets of conversation, sort of did a lot of due diligence. We got to talking, and she said, well, we can finance this. You can form the business and take on business debt through the form of a loan. And so started researching that process and found the food truck training group to be sort of my source of truth for everything. I went through all the guides, I went through all the materials, and using the business plan workbook as well as all of the other sort of planning workbooks and templates, I was able to produce a business plan at somewhere around 32 pages, I think it rounded up being, and use all of the Excel sheets that you produced to sort of come up with all of the financial projections, the 1, 2, 3 year P&L, cash flow, sales matrix, the whole kit and caboodle, and every single one of those pieces was needed to get this loan. The templates that SBA provided really were for single widget businesses. What's your product?
Right.
And I have 20 products. Which one do you want to talk about? And all of the things that go into that product. The templates just didn't match up. It was never going to work if I was going to try to get a loan using their documentation. So your documentation made it very easy to plug and play all the numbers they were looking for. They called various spreadsheets and various things by different names. They're like, we need something. I'm like, well, I have this. Like, yeah, that's what we want. Why don't you just call it that? Lots of back and forth and confusion. Ultimately, got very frustrated at several points where they were like, you need to fill out this form, fill out the form. And I'd say, well, we noticed that you according to this other report, you have these loans, and so you didn't fill it out correctly. I'm like, if you already had the information, why am I filling out a form? You knew all these things. So there was many points where it was, I threw my hands up and said, this is absolutely and totally ridiculous. Never mind, I was trying to get funded right before a government shutdown, and so trying to beat a deadline in early November, because we were worried, everyone was worried that at a certain point there might not be an SBA for an extended period of time, and they wanted to get all the stuff processed through. So there was a lot of get me information now, and having the tools and spreadsheets and the planning done beforehand made it very easy to sort of cut, paste, slice, dice, and make it all work. At the end of the day, I really wanted to have not only a loan to start the business, which included the truck fit out, but I also wanted to have a line of credit available for the rainy days. And so I ultimately got two separate products from the SBA. The initial startup loan for the business, which included the truck fit out, as well as miscellaneous business expenses for sales, marketing, menu development, insurance, permitting, and everything that was on the P&L. I threw it in there. And then a separate note for a line of credit, which sits untouched and hopefully will stay untouched for a very, very long time. But it is a backup source of funding for rainy days, in addition to the seed money that I had to put into the business for my own personal savings and other sources of funding to sort of get things set up. So it was a lengthy process, a very frustrating process at points, because I'm not an expert in any of these things, but having the right tools and being able to have your books, the various things, and the community, seeing what other people had done and hearing things was a great help. I have a business background where so I'm able to understand these concepts, but this is the first time I've done anything with like this with the government, and it was as one would expect, full of lots of paperwork, lots of checkpoints and sign-offs, and nothing was ever really totally clear. In fact, it would be contradictory in some places. But having a local banker, someone who had a business cell phone that I would text or email at 10 o'clock at night and hear back from at 10:15 was the best part, because without a local guide and advisor, this wasn't going to happen on my own trying to do it. So it was really important to have that individual I felt like was invested in my success as well as the score mentor, my bookkeeper, even my attorney, who out of all those people is the most expensive per hour. So he got the fewest questions, especially when it came around to operating agreements and different things like that I didn't know anything about. It's like, we can make you one. I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna hold on to that note, Bert, for just a moment. We'll get right back to you. I think I'm going to go with this other document that's not going to be 5 hours of your time at per hour for the purposes of this loan. So I use him sparingly, but when absolutely needed, he's available. I'm on call, and I was listed in the plan and everything. So it's definitely not easy, but if you're dedicated and you have a vision and you want to make it happen, the SBA is a great resource. They have a lot of great programs, and really glad that at the end of the day, I didn't throw up my hands when I was ready to a couple points, and everything sort of went through. It took about 2.5 months. Start to finish to get everything through. And that was even racing at the end, again, ahead of that government shutdown deadline.
When you say 2.5 months, are you talking about from the point that you contacted the SBA or from the point that you had your idea?
I started in early September and finished in early November from the time I contacted my lender. So I started working with the bank about the beginning of September, just after Labor Day, that I went to SCORE workshop, financial workshop. And then by the time I had everything put together, it was about closed just before Thanksgiving, because the government didn't shut down. Yay, no government shutdown. So
yeah, it's always
it was about September through mid-November.
A little over 2 months ish.
Yeah, throw an ish on there.
Which still is in business time, that's really, really fast.
I'm pushing.
I would be super happy with a 2-month process, because I've known many, many months process. So let's talk a little bit about your background, because you seem to be pretty at ease with some of the things they were asking you about. So let's let everybody know what your background was before you came up with your idea for the food truck.
Certainly. So I've been in business X number of years old, so we'll say 25 years. My first career was as a self-employed business owner in New York City. I was a wedding and event photographer for about 20 years. So I've done close to 850 weddings, another 750 bar mitzvahs, and 1,000 corporate events in New York City and Boston over the course of that 20 years. So I'm very familiar with events, event planning. Prior to that, I was all culinary in high school and college, working at various kitchens. I ran a couple of small commercial kitchens, as well as was a manager at I don't know if the chain's around anymore, Weather Vane Seafoods. I don't know if they're still around
Not
here in the
familiar
Northeast.
with them.
But I was kitchen manager there for several years. And then once sort of the digital camera age sort of really took over, my background was in film, and I started my career loading film backs and hauling around hundreds of pounds of gear up and down commercial freight elevators in Manhattan. Once the digital revolution really became a thing, and everyone could say to me, well, my uncle will do it for $500, I would say, well, that's good. Good for you. wish you the best of that. You're not paying me for your 8 hours. You're paying me for the last 20 years. And I don't roll out of bed for less than $5,000. And that's just to get my sunny disposition and a camera. If you want more than that, we'll talk. So burnt out on the weddings, and I had a small family and decided instead of chasing gigs, I should have a real job. Marketing, one of the things I was really good at in my wedding career. So I got a job at a boutique real estate agency as a director of marketing. Got out of the real estate game after about 2.5 years because I just was not a fan of real estate, and ultimately landed in an agency. And I've been doing the agency thing for the last 10 years, working my way up to director of operations at the agency. So over the course of the last 10 years, I've developed skills not only in digital marketing, but also in just general business acumen, negotiating contracts, service agreements, contractor agreements, managing teams, and just generally being neck deep in all things business related. So by the time I was ready to sort of go back and realize that I really wanted to do my own thing, really, while I love the people I work with, I love the work, I need to be outdoors again. I need to be with people, and placing ads and buying widgets just wasn't the thing for me anymore. Thing for me is people. One of my other jobs, work for a local ski area. It's owned by Vail Resorts, and I manage a children's seasonal program that has about 300 kids in it this year. And getting to hang out with those kids, ski with them, talk with the parents, see the smiles, watching them develop those lifelong memories together, that's what fills my cup. And I guess you could say, my love language is acts of service. And so making food and providing people with a great experience and something fun and memorable, like a snow cone or a cool waffle cone or something that's unique and different while they're at whatever event or activity, birthday party, festival, fair. That just seems like a heck of a lot more fun than buying a Google ad for some big company that's trying to sell X widgets and being told, wow, you made us an extra 10% profit this quarter. I love that for you. What did that do for me? It didn't do much. I decided, my wife and I talked about owning a food truck probably about 13 years ago. I'm trying to think how old my daughter is. We were living in a small real estate complex, and it was at the end of a road. There were about 3 complexes that had this one main access road, and it's this old tennis court that nobody used. And we thought, wow, it'd be great to put a food truck right there and serve breakfast, because everybody has to drive right by. And we're talking like 2010. And we're like, oh, what would be cool if you could have this way of placing the order from home before you went out and be ready when you got there. And we were thinking about all these technologies that just didn't exist. And we're like, yeah, there's no way we could do this. There's no way it would happen. Fast forward, and it's like online ordering, mobile sales, QR codes, SMS. It's like, this is stuff you're expected to have. This is the floor. And so when my wife recognized that I was sort of just treading water in business and was generally happy but not fulfilled, and she's refreshed this idea of the food truck again. And we sort of both latched onto it again after going through the thought of the different franchise options that just ultimately were not palatable at the end of the day. And we came up with this concept. We're like, wow, if we had started this 10 years ago before all these things, imagine what we could have invented and all the apps we could have built. And it's like, yeah, let's not focus on that. Let's focus on the future, because we've taken that time to develop our skills. She has a restaurant hospitality background, a sales background. She's, also very strong bookkeeping and financial end of things. So she really keeps me grounded on that side. And I'm sort of like, hey, let's do this crazy big thing over here. So we're a good balance that way, and a good partnership. So it's something my kids have latched onto. They really love the idea of having our own thing. And they're so proud to show it off to their friends. Look at the pictures of the snow cones we were making, and look at this. And it's a big source of pride for them it's a source of pride for me to show them, hey, we can make something of our own, do our thing, be financially, comfortable, and have a lot of fun. And I feel like that's what this journey is really taking us on. So I feel like smart to take the time to really get the business experience and work for some of these larger companies and have these interactions with CEOs and lawyers and all these folks and develop that tool set. So that when it came time and ready to sort of head back on my own path, I felt as though I had everything I needed. And then I quickly learned you don't know anything about SBA or loans or this area. And so it was a really good feeling to establish that team that supported me through that process. With the banker and the loan officer and the lawyer and the business advisor and scorer. So it's definitely not something you can do on your own. I would never in a million years say this was mine. I did it. It was just me. No way. Not possible.
Oh, yeah, you definitely need a team of people, because you can't possibly know everything.
Not in a million years. And I've never professed that I'm love the jack of all trades, master of none. I don't want that mentality, but you have to know just enough to be sort of self-sufficient, but you have to also develop trust with advisors and people that you truly do believe have your best interest at heart, and rely on their guidance, because you need experts in those things, because there's specialization, and it's good to have those resources. So your resources, the community has been a big help. Seeing, the people who've been doing this for some time and their experiences, everything is just a learning opportunity.
All right, tomorrow we're going to be talking in part 2 of my interview with Joe on how much he would rather be out making smiles. Thank you so much for listening to the 10-Minute Food Truck Training Podcast. If you're finding all the information helpful to your food truck business, please become a monthly supporter of the podcast. Just hit the support button or follow the link in the description. Every little bit does help keep us going. Join our Facebook group. It's called Food Truck Training. We have a whole bunch of awesome members at all different levels, from brand new beginners to decades-old veterans. They've all got your back when it comes to helping you with your food truck. And again, thank you for listening. Come back tomorrow, because I got plenty more to say when it comes to helping you and your food truck business grow.